Selling your used guitar gear
online.
Something that is absolutely vital to those of us with constant gas. And no, I'm not talking about indigestion, but also yes, I am. The process of selling your used guitar equipment online can and almost certainly will be an absolute
nightmare.
Taking the time, care, and effort to properly craft a listing for your beautiful, cherished piece of equipment that you are moving on, just to be met with 40 Facebook Marketplace messages asking,
"Is this item still available?"
Only for you to reply and for that person to cease existing on the face of the earth forevermore. But today, I'm here to help, and I'm not from the government. Because I have been buying, selling, and trading guitar equipment online for the better part of 10 years en masse. And over that time, I have cultivated a good system on how to make it as painless as possible. And I'm gonna share those tips with you. So hopefully your next foray into listing your equipment online to sale to fund the next purchase does not become the equivalent of sleep paralysis. Let's do it. All right, guys, hope you're doing great out there today. If this is your first time here at my channel, my name is Kyle. What I do is I take all sorts of awesome high gain related guitar equipment, I record it with a simple setup, and I forget most of my intro while I'm saying. So if you're into Easthander thrash riffs, dropsy hardcore riffs, and dudes that forget most of their intro while they're saying it, you're in the right place. Consider hitting the like button and subscribing on the way out so you don't miss any more of my stuff. Thanks! All right, guys, so as I mentioned in the intro of this video, today I'm going to be showing you the method that I use in order to post my used guitar equipment online for sale. For those of us with never-ending gear acquisition syndrome, this is practically a daily activity, but for many people, they don't do this all that often, if at all, so the sheer thought of trying to sell your equipment online can send you into a never-ending panic spiral that you'll never recover from. But with my years of experience and tons of good deals under my belt, I genuinely want to make this process as painless as possible for you guys. So I'm going to be going over my process, I'm going to be going over my photo taking process, my description writing process, and showing you how to post on both Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist. You can take pretty much everything I'm going to show you and also apply it to other marketplaces such as Reverb and eBay, but I don't typically sell there because, to be honest, it can be even more of a headache to deal with those marketplaces and some of the people who shop there, the rules and regulations, etc. So with that being said, in order for you to follow along with this video, if you are thinking of listing your gear for the first time, you're going to need a few items. Obviously, number one, the piece of equipment that you have. Number two, the ability to type full, coherent English sentences. Number three, a camera of some sort. It does not have to be a dedicated camera. It can absolutely be your phone camera. And number four, if you're going to be doing this often or you're going to be listing multiple items at once, it's honestly quite a bit easier to do that with a dedicated computer and a dedicated workstation, which is where our sponsor for today's video, FlexiSpot, comes into play. If there's one thing that I've learned in my many years of being a YouTube shill and guitar gear sales and procurement specialist, also known as a hoarder, it's that the amount of work involved in all of this is astounding. I spend the vast majority of my day sitting at a desk, which for the longest time filled me with dread when I would wake up in the morning. But luckily for me and my last shred of sanity, that is no longer the case because FlexiSpot were kind enough to send me my first ever motorized standing desk, and it has honestly changed my life. The model that they sent me is the E6, and it is an absolute monster in the best ways. This thing has a weight capacity of 355 pounds, and it can raise and lower that weight over 20,000 times throughout its life. So now you can place your sacrifices
For the metal gods.
on the absolute beautiful bamboo surface of this E6 desk and raise it via the dual motors to the heavens. My old turd of a desk was super flimsy and definitely couldn't handle sacrifices to the metal gods being placed upon it without it quickly trying to find the fastest route to desk heaven. The control panel for the E6 features very bright and vibrantly colored controls, including 4 different programmable presets in case you share your desk like a peasant. Now, when I pulled this thing out of the box for the first time, I was ridiculously impressed with the build quality. The E6 is incredibly stable, and it easily supports my dream battle station setup that is totally not my attempt at compensating for low self-esteem. FlexiSpot sent me the 72-inch model, so I have tons of room for activities, but they have all sorts of different sizes and finishes, so you can easily find the perfect E6 desk for your workspace. Even my sister, who I hired as a part-time video editor, is jealous and resentful of me purely because of the E6 standing desk.
I'm jealous and resentful of him purely because of his E6 desk.
so I'll never sit at a fixed desk like that loser idiot ever again. Now, FlexiSpot also carries a large assortment of office chairs, and they were nice enough to send me the highly adjustable and aesthetically pleasing OC6 chair. I've been using this chair for over a month, and I am definitely a fan, as it features Y-shaped adjustable lumbar support, over 3 full inches of headrest adjustment, seat depth and height adjustments, and up to 130 degrees of reclining goodness. So if you're interested in assembling your own dream workspace, you're in luck. FlexiSpot's Black Friday sale is on now, and if you use the links down below in the description and the comments of this video, you could save yourself up to 70% off of the E6 standing desk, the OC6 office chair, or whatever other FlexiSpot items that your little heart desires. So head down to the comments and description to check those links, and thanks again to FlexiSpot for sponsoring this video. So now that we know everything that we are going to need for this little foray into selling our used equipment online, ain't nothing to it but to do it. Let's go. All right, guys, I have 2 items that we're gonna be making posts for. I figured I would give you an amp and a guitar because there are some subtle differences in between the way that I would either photograph them or describe them and what I would look for in order, as far as information to give the listing and the person, the potential buyer. This is going horribly. I'm already stumbling all over myself. So, as you can see, we've got a Bugera Tri-Rec and we have an EC1001. So we are going to start with the amplifier, and I'm gonna screen record my phone here and show you exactly how I would take pictures of these items. So let's go. I'm gonna pull up my camera on my phone. Couple things about the environment that you wanna keep in mind. Try to make it as little clutter around whatever you're taking photos of as possible, because that'll make it easier to get a clear picture of the amplifier. And honestly, when you have better pictures, it tends to catch people's attention better in the first place if you have really good looking pictures, especially the first picture in the listing. That is always very important. So you want a nice, clear, uncluttered picture in order to grab people's attention and draw the attention towards your item. Because if you've ever shopped on Facebook Marketplace, then you know it is like swimming through a sea of garbage in order to find something that is even remotely worth buying. So I have the amplifier set up here, and it's got some separation between the background, and there's also nothing really around it. There's not a bunch of cables and stuff like that sitting around in order to clutter up the photo. So the first thing that I want to do, and one thing that is important, is if you have any accessories with the amplifier or with the guitar, if you've got a foot switch with the amp, or if you have a case with the guitar, you definitely want to get everything that you're including in at least one photo for the listing. That way the buyer knows everything that they are getting. So I'm gonna start off by putting the foot switch on top of the amplifier, and that is gonna be the first picture that I take. So I usually try to take the power cable, if there's a separate power cable, and kind of bunch it up a little bit. And then that way, if there's a foot switch, I can actually kind of put it behind the foot switch and essentially get the foot switch to kind of stand on its own. That way, when we take a picture, the foot switch is clearly in sight, and you can see it both with the amplifier and with also the amplifier. I don't know what I was trying to say there. Multitasking is very difficult for me. We've got our phone open, we've got our app open, and the first thing that I try to do is I usually like to take portrait mode type pictures. And the reason for that is the background separation actually makes it so you can see the item more clearly. So we're gonna try to center our picture, make sure that the lighting is good, make sure that everything that we want is in the shot, and that's exactly what we did. So now I'm gonna pull this foot switch off, I'm gonna set it to the side, and I'll take a slightly closer up picture of the faceplate. I have the grid lines open on my camera app because that makes it easier to line up the shot. So I take a front shot. I usually do a shot from the right side in order to catch the top of the amplifier and the side of the amplifier, so you get an idea of the condition of the Tolex of the amp pretty much all the way around. So again, from the other side, kind of same thing in mind. Try to get that side of the Tolex in the shot. Woo, woo. I'm just gonna kind of do a straight on side shot because this doesn't look all that great when that light is affecting our lens. So this is what we're gonna give them. And then if there's some sort of small writing on the front of the amp that like denominates the model of it, certain amps have 50 or 100 written on the front, but it's very, very small, like Mesa Badlanders, JCM 2000, stuff like that. You want to get a very close-up picture of the actual model. There is no guesswork that needs to be done for the person that is buying the item on what model it is. And then I like to try to get a nice picture of the top of the Tolex Now we're gonna flip it around to the back of the amplifier. And if you have it sitting on a cab or anything like that, make sure that it's lined up nicely with the cab so it's not like jutting out or anything. Again, these are all just kind of like aesthetic choices that are gonna make your listing look nicer overall. So take a picture of the back, and then I always go in and I try to get a picture of the serial number. That way we have it, because a lot of people like to ask those questions. So that's pretty much it as far as taking photographs for the amp. If you want, you can get in here and try to kind of peek through the back of the grill if you can and get a shot of the tubes. And in this case, we can kind of see the Bugera logo coming through the grate. So that should be good enough if somebody asks what tubes are in it. And that's it. We're done with the amplifier. So now it's time for the guitar. So again, we want to get some solid background separation now for a guitar. Instead of taking in landscape size, you're gonna wanna do it in portrait mode, which is your straight up and down. I have no idea what the camera or the video is gonna be doing on the other end of this when I try to edit it. So this should be fun. And again, you wanna get a good first angle. And we're gonna go into portrait mode because that's gonna give us that background blur, and it's really gonna separate the guitar from the background. So we've got it lined up nicely here, and take the picture. The reason I don't do right up on the item is because Facebook tends to zoom in on the pictures a little bit. So I try to back up a little bit. You get more of the item and first post that is gonna show in the Marketplace app. What I try to do is I try to search around the angles and see, like, if it has a flame top, try to show where it the flame top kind of pops the most. So as you can see right here, it's popping out really nicely. So get nice and close, take that picture, and then again, do the same thing kind of from the other side. So from down here, the light's kind of reflecting off of it in a way that doesn't really look all that great. So trying to get a good picture from over here is gonna be a little bit more difficult. So let's just come in right about here is the best that I've got so far. Take that picture. I always try to get a picture of the hardware and things and the pickups. That way people know what pickups are in it, or at least can get an idea. Another thing with guitars that is always good to do is pull the frets back on the most commonly, or pull the string back and get a picture of the fret wear, if any. That way they know how much fret wear is on it. Okay, then I jump up and I usually get a picture of the headstock. So on this one, I think we're just gonna do it straight on because that looks nice. And that has our model number in there as well. And it shows you the nut on the guitar, which I also think is important. So turn the guitar around. From the back of the guitar, we take a nice booty shot, and then I'll usually snap one of the body to try to show if there is any sort of buckle rash or anything like that. Try to get the entire condition of the guitar in it. And then up top, again, you get the serial number. You don't have to post the serial numbers in the post, but it's good to have them on hand, especially if something goes wrong with the deal and somebody tries to like swap guitars. You have the serial number on hand from your listing and from the pictures that you took, and then that way you can say, hey, that's not even the guitar I sold you, you stupid idiot. So yeah, as far as pictures, that's basically what I do. And then I'll try to find and see if there is any sort of wear, any sort of scratching. I mean, this guitar is basically in new condition. It doesn't really seem like it was played all that much. So there are literally like no signs of wear on this thing. I guess if I had to be really nitpicky, there's some pick scratching down here around this pickup. So if you really wanted to get that for close-up detailed photos of the wear, just try to get it to the reflect in the light. But again, that's kind of like an extreme case type deal. So there you can kind of see it coming through. And that's it. That's all we got to do. We have our pictures. So I'm going to go ahead and stop this recording. And I'm going to grab you guys and take you over to our workstation to post this bad boy. Here we go. All right, guys, so I am now sitting down here at the computer, and it is time to get all of our pictures onto the computer working late, my brain's not functioning, so that we can get our listings for our equipment made. So we're gonna start by taking the photos off of our phone and sending them to ourselves on Facebook, because for me, that's just the easiest way to transfer them. And another thing that does is it actually shrinks the files a little bit, so the file sizes are not as large, but obviously you can use AirDrop or near field communication, whatever method you want to use. I just find this one to be the easiest, honestly. So I'm on Mac and I have an Android phone, and the process of transferring anything from an Android to a Mac is actually somewhat painful. So that's why I'm not just using like AirDrop or something like that. So we've got all of our photos here. We're gonna go through, we are going to select each one. And what this also does is it kind of puts all of our stuff in a central place. Again, this is just the way that I do it. You can obviously upload right from your phone. I tend to just prefer doing it from the computer because I can type on a keyboard. It makes it easier. It also seems to be easier to share to more groups when you list on the computer than versus the mobile Facebook app. That's just been my experience though. So with that being said, I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna grab all of my photos, and we are gonna start downloading. Again, for me, this is just a super easy process. And there are all of our pictures. So we now have all of our pictures downloaded onto our computer. And now we can actually go in and we can start to list our things. That was not a complete sentence. Okay, so we're gonna hit the Marketplace tab, and then we are gonna go over here and we are going to go to Create Listing, Item for Sale. And as you can see, it gives you a little preview bar over here. So we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna add our photos. We're gonna go to the downloads where we just downloaded all of our stuff. And I'm gonna start with the guitar. I'm gonna grab all of our pictures of our guitar and we're gonna open those bad boys up. Facebook only lets you upload 10 pictures into a listing. It also gives you the option to record a video. I have not figured out how to be able to record a video first, like something that I could actually edit and put good audio to, and then upload it, because on your phone it automatically makes you start taking the video when you hit that function. But if we were to go, okay, so yeah, well, now I see, I guess if I try a little bit, I might learn something. If I click this add video panel over here, it'll actually give me the option to add a video. It's actually really useful because now I can just start making quick little clips of the amps that I'm gonna sell and posting them in my listings, and that should make it easier to sell down the road. So even when you've been doing this for a long time, you learn something new. So with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna grab our full body photo, we'll call it, and we are going to make that the very first one. And in the title, gonna go ESP LTD EC1001 Tiger Eye, because that is the name of the finish. And then up here you can also put, you know, like Fishman and stainless steel frets. Like, don't get too obnoxious with it. Even this is more than I typically like to add, but sometimes when you add more to the title, it comes up for broader search terms and it actually shows your listing to more people, but it can also be kind of confusing if you're just putting all sorts of different words and tags in there. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna list this for 800 bucks. And I tend to like to list a little bit on the high side. For this particular guitar, this is one that I wouldn't mind keeping for myself, so I'm kind of listing at a make me sell it price. But if you were to want to figure out what this would actually sell for, what would be a good price to sell this for, here's what I do. I go to Reverb, type in the model name, ESP LTD EC1001 Tiger. And as you can see, we've got all these models, but what comes up here does not matter at all because people can list things for any price that they want. What you need to do is go into the all filters, go down to show only, and then go to sold listings. And when you look at the sold listings, you'll see what some of these guitars recently sold for. And it looks like 700, 680, there's one for 8, there's one for 900. Usually when you see prices like this that are kind of all over the place, that's like it was listed at somewhere other than the United States in a foreign currency. So that's why you see, you know, stuff like this. But generally, it looks like the median would probably be about 750s, which is what I thought. That would be 750 would be the price that I would be willing to take for this guitar. So, you know, some people like feeling like they get a deal, so it doesn't hurt to price your items slightly higher than you're willing to accept and being able to knock off a little bit for people who want to negotiate just for the sake of negotiating. You'll find that that's a lot of people on Facebook Marketplace, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's the people who come in and offer me $400 for my $800 guitar that make me want to ram my head through a plate glass window. So anyways, now that we have our price figured out and we've got it typed into the price block here, we go into the category, we go down to musical instruments, and then you can kind of get down into the sub-denominations of categories. We'll go into guitars and basses, and we'll go into electric guitars, and then our condition. Be honest about your condition, guys. I would say that this is used good. Used like new means that there are 0 signs of wear on it. That means no pick scratching, like not even the slightest bit of buckle rash or anything like that. So like new means it literally looks like it came out of the box new, even if it's been used a little bit. Used good is this. It is in excellent condition. There are really no signs of wear other than very, very light surface scratching, but there are still signs of wear, which means you can't list it as like new. So in the description here, we're gonna type out a description. One thing that you can do, but I tend to not do, is you can go in to something like one of these Reverb listings, especially when it's listed as brand new, and you can copy these specs here. And once you do that, you can go back to your listing, you can paste them in your listing. The reason that I don't normally do this is you will find that a lot of scam listings have stuff like this in the actual description, where they're not giving a description of the actual individual item, the item that they have their physical hands on, that they have in their possession. They're just giving a general, here's what it is, here are the specs. They're not telling you anything about the individual item because they don't actually have the individual item, or they don't even know what it is. So I tend to refrain from doing stuff like this, and I just try to give a really good, coherent description of the guitar. So up for sale is my 2019 ESP LTD EC 1001 guitar. This guitar is in excellent condition, very minimal signs of wear. Now, because I'm not gonna keep all of the factory specs in my listing, I'm gonna delete those and put something like highlights of this guitar are the Fishman Fluence open core classic pickups, stainless steel jumbo jumbo ferrets, ebony fretboard, locking tuners, Tone Pros locking hardware. And then you can give kind of like a brief description of your experience with the guitar. This guitar is currently set up in E standard and plays very well. It has no functional issues, stays in tune very well, and has an overall bright and defined tonal color to it. It's an excellent guitar, and I am sad to see it go. Just trying to clear up funds for another current studio project. And again, you don't have to get overly personal. You don't even have to give it this much of a description in your listing, but I tend to try to do stuff like this because it makes the listing feel more personal. It makes it feel like the person actually cared about the guitar. So now here's where you want to put some of the disclaimers about the listing, such as we're going to put price as firm because ideally I would like to get $800 for this guitar if it sells. I'm also going to put not currently looking for trades of any kind, which that's how I am doing things, but feel free to offer your gear up for trades. And then finally for me, I put shipping on the buyer, and there are a couple of reasons for that. Number one, if you just put a generic shipping cost of like $50 anywhere in the United States, that may come back to bite you because shipping from Pennsylvania to Ohio, probably only $25 or $30 using UPS ground. But shipping from Pennsylvania to Oregon, in a lot of cases, is gonna be over $100. So that's why I always say buyer pays shipping, and then I say shoot me a message with your zip code, and I can get you a UPS shipping quote with insurance. And as soon as we're done with this, I will show you exactly how to do that. So shoot, not shot. Finally, I will always put something at the bottom that says like, please feel free to message me with any questions about the guitar if you're a serious buyer. Thank you. And that's pretty much it. That's really all you have to do. And again, over here, Facebook shows you a preview of the listing, so you can flip through, check out the pictures. You can go ahead and reorder the pictures if you like. I usually am only really concerned about that first picture because that's the one that's going to catch people's attention. Then over here, you can see everything that you have typed up, the way that you have it spaced out. Is it a coherent listing, easy to read? Is the information easy to find that somebody might be looking for? And in this case, I think that it is. So we have our listing typed up, and then when you hit next, it brings up a list of groups, buy and sell groups that you may be a part of. And I highly, highly suggest joining a bunch of guitar related Facebook groups, especially the ones that have for sale sections of those groups, because that's where I make most of my sales, is in these Facebook groups, and Facebook gives you the option right here to go through and select them one by one. So I'm gonna go ahead and select them, and any of these groups that you guys see in this video here, feel free to go and join them if you're looking to sell your gear, because they are a very good place to actually list your stuff and get the right eyes on it and possibly get it sold much faster than if you were to just list it on regular old marketplace. I think this is a key thing that a lot of people don't really realize. Yes, you can list something on Marketplace, but if you just put it on Marketplace, it's kind of just going out into the ether and you have no idea who's really gonna see it. But if you post it in a bunch of targeted groups that are related to that item, you're gonna have a lot higher success rate of actually getting your item sold. So we're gonna go through and we are going to select, my camera's in the way, which is why I'm looking like an idiot right now. And Facebook lets you list up to 20 groups. And for a while there, I think I had more than 20 guitar related groups that I was in. Well, I do, I have more than 20 now. So I try to prioritize by the ones that I tend to get the most traffic from, and also from the ones that have the most people in it. And that is it, guys. Our listing is gonna go live. Facebook is gonna put it through a short review process, and as long as you didn't put anything in there that they don't like, such as hate speech or phone numbers, basically don't put any links or anything in your listings either, because they don't like things that take people away from Facebook. They want you to stay on the Facebook platform, which is why they block phone numbers and stuff like that. So just try to make sure that there's nothing like that in your listing, and Facebook should approve it pretty quickly. And boom, as you guys can see, our listing is now live on Marketplace, and we can click on it and go to Marketplace, and we can see this is the actual listing of my item for sale. And I'm also going to put the link for this listing in the description and the comments of this video, so you guys can actually go in, see the listing for yourself, just in case there was anything that you weren't able to see within this video. And again, you could take exactly this info that you use for your Facebook listing, you can apply it to a Craigslist listing, you can put it up on eBay with all the same information, you can put it on Reverb with all the same information. Again, I just don't use those platforms very much because they don't seem to be very successful in my experience. I really have had by far and away the most success selling on Facebook Marketplace. Yes, there is some aggravation and some headaches that come along with Facebook Marketplace, but I have found, believe it or not, it to be the least painful out of all of those platforms. Craigslist is okay, it just nobody ever really uses it anymore, especially in Erie for me, so I don't hardly ever get anybody messaging me on Craigslist anymore. Marketplace seems to be where it's at. Also, last but not least, I'm gonna show you how to quote a shipping quote. Yeah. So we went to pirateship.com. This is a third-party platform that basically gets you group rates automatically through UPS and USPS and stuff like that. I have found that it has saved a lot of money in shipping, and even though I charge my buyer the shipping, it actually facilitates more sales because it saves the buyer a lot of money in shipping, and it reduces the sticker shock that comes along with shipping rates because they have gotten very expensive over the last few years. Unfortunately, it is what it is, so anything you can do to keep those prices down actually helps with the amount of sales that you're able to close on your end. So for a zip code, we'll put 44052. I have no idea where that is. And then, okay, this is a guitar. So guitar box dimensions are generally 48 by 20 by 7, and that's without a case. Package weight estimated at about 14 pounds for the guitar and the packing materials. You click get your rate quote, and boom, you get a whole bunch of options via Pirate Ship. And you can click ship now and enter the information for your shipping label, purchase and print the shipping label through Pirate Ship. It's actually a very, very easy process. And if you guys would like to actually see the process of me packing and shipping either a guitar or an amp or both, and showing you how it is that I go about that stuff, if it's something that you're uncomfortable with and you're not quite sure how to go about, please let me know in the comments, not the description, the comments down below, and I will absolutely make that video for you guys if you think that it's something that will be helpful for you. I know a lot of people have asked me to make a video about shipping amps in the past, so I think that that's something that you guys do want to see, but again, just make me feel better about it. Reinforce that down below in the comments, and I will get that video made, and then we can put these two videos on a playlist and you guys can see what it takes to sell a piece of gear front to back. So yeah, That is how you list an item for sale on Facebook Marketplace. And again, you can take this information, apply it to whatever platform you choose to sell on. This is all good general information that kind of applies to anywhere that you need to sell. Having good pictures, a good item description, and good manners when you are speaking to people and trying to close a sale. All very important things to actually getting a piece of gear sold. Please remember that the good manners thing goes a long way. If you're short, if you go in and lowball somebody, if you ask a million questions and obviously don't have the intention to buy, that's going to annoy a lot of people. Ask me how I know. So yeah, just try to take as much of the pain out of the process for everybody all around as you can, because it is usually a painful process, even in some of the best situations. There have been plenty of people who have been an absolute pleasure to deal with on my end, and I appreciate you guys, but there have been plenty of people who have not been either. So another thing is just kind of trust your gut. If somebody's kind of giving you a hard time about stupid things in the listing, if they finally do agree to buy, I will trust my gut and I will basically just say, hey, sorry, item's no longer for sale or something like that, in order to avoid selling to somebody who I can tell is going to be a problem. So I hope that this video was helpful. If it was, let me know down below in the comments. I'm curious to see how many of you guys have wanted to start selling your own gear on Marketplace or through some other e-platform, but have just never quite known how to go about it. I really do hope that this video helped you. And if you do buy and sell a lot and you saw the way that I do my listings here and you think that you have a way to do it better, or there are things that you would do differently, I'm genuinely curious to hear what you guys have to say. I am all ears for new ideas that are gonna make my life easier. This is just the way that I've come to do it. I feel the most comfortable with after years and years of kind of dealing with this stuff. So yeah, that's gonna do it for me today, guys. If you liked the video, hit the like button. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Again, special shout out to FlexiSpot. Check that link down below in the description and in the comments if you guys are in the market for a nice standing desk or a comfortable chair. And yeah, that's it. I'm gonna go to bed now because I'm extremely tired. Thanks so much for watching. Kyle here again. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.